Hi, welcome back to Life Intelligence. Today, I would like to discuss a transformative concept called reparenting yourself. If you've ever felt stuck in unhealthy patterns, overwhelmed by emotions, and noticed that you are not showing up for yourself, you're neglecting yourself, or disregarding your own needs, and compromising too much, this video is for you. I'll mention a few additional resources for you as I go through this, so check the description below for all the links. And let's begin. What is reparenting, you ask? It's what you do for yourself because you missed out on it as a kid because your parents were lame, to put it bluntly. Psychologist and researcher Dr. Lindsay Gibson highlights how neglectful or emotionally unavailable parenting leads to what she calls adult children of emotionally immature parents. This shows up as struggles with boundaries, emotional regulation, or self-worth. Reparenting helps us rebuild these foundations. Dr. John Pollard, who coined the term itself in his book Self-Parenting, The Complete Guide to Your Inner Conversations, explains that our inner child represents the vulnerable emotional parts of ourselves. Without conscious care, this inner child dictates how we react to stress, relationships, and even self-esteem. The problem is, it reacts just like a child would, immature, needy, hurt, confused, etc. Let's look at some real-life examples of what happens when someone, maybe you, needs reparenting. Let's say you make a small mistake at work, like maybe you forgot to send an email on time. Instead of brushing it off and just sending the email, you spiral into harsh self-criticism. I'm so stupid. How could I let this happen? I'll probably get fired and I'll deserve it. You might also feel anxious as if this one little mistake defines your entire worth. This reaction could be an instinctual one if you've learned it from growing up in an environment where mistakes were met with punishment and ridicule or super high expectations. You learn to tie your self-worth to achievements, to perfection, leading to a very harsh inner critic. Let's say a friend doesn't respond to your text for a couple of days and you start feeling abandoned or unworthy. You might think, they don't care about me, or replay past experiences where you felt overlooked or unwanted. You begin to ruminate on what you might have done to offend them and to deserve rejection. Or perhaps you did receive a rejection from someone, like a job for a job thing or something else you've applied to, or it could be a friend rejecting a suggestion you offered, or they had their own point of view that was different than yours. You overact these situations again, feeling not good enough, doubting your own worth, doubting your friendship, your abilities, etc. You feel rejected as a person, even if the situation is not personal. This overreaction is often from inconsistent care or emotional neglect you received as a child. You may have learned to equate someone's silence or them saying no to you with a lack of love or support because that's what it used to be. How about this? Your coworker repeatedly asks you to cover their shift and you always do it, even though it stresses you out. You always say yes because you're afraid of disappointing them or being seen as selfish. Later, though, you feel resentful and burnt out. Or this one. When someone criticizes your work, you either shut down completely or lash out in anger. Later, you might feel ashamed or confused about why you couldn't handle it better and might even become very defensive. Here's a common one. You want to pursue a big dream like starting a business or going back to school, but every time you try, you feel paralyzed by fear or self doubt. You tell yourself, I'll fail anyway, so why bother? Or you usually feel like things are rigged, the odds are stacked against you, so why waste your time trying? Or perhaps you're constantly overextending yourself, staying late at work, volunteering for every project, or being the go to person for family emergencies. Deep down, you might feel your worth is tied to how much you do for others. All of these could be avoided if we had our childhood needs met by responsive, caring parents. Most parents, however, do the best they can with what they've got and without enough parenting education. Some get it right, some cover the basics, but most are preoccupied with their own lives, repeating mistakes they've learned from their own parents, or just plain don't care enough. Others, sadly, are emotionally and physically abusive, and so on. We can't order the kind of parents we want to have before we're born, so we get stuck with whatever we've got and live with the consequences of our upbringing. But according to the above mentioned experts, we can help ourselves by reparenting ourselves. In essence, addressing the inner child's needs ourselves. When we don't address unmet childhood needs, we carry them around like invisible emotional baggage. By reparenting, you're giving yourself the tools to break free from these cycles. You're creating a secure attachment with yourself. Yes, with yourself. And that ripples into every part of your life, your relationships, career, and even your physical health. Are these resonating with you so far? Are you seeing yourself in some of these situations? How does this idea sound to you? If so, comment below. Let me know. I'd love to hear your experiences and your thoughts. Moving on. There are things you can do for yourself and transcend the suffering you've internalized as a child. Just because that's what your parents left you with, it doesn't mean you should live with it all your life. You can definitely do better for yourself and feel much better. I'm about to give you three tried and true suggestions. But may I ask you to like this video first and subscribe to help me grow this channel? I'm on a mission to make as many people as possible more life intelligent. I'm close to getting my first 1,000 subscribers, so if you subscribe, that will mean a lot to me. Thank you, you're awesome. Oh, and I almost forgot, this channel is not monetized. So if you like to support the work I do, consider tipping me below. There's a link for my Buy Me a Coffee tip jar. Thanks again. So, here are 3 things you can do to start reparenting yourself. The first one is validate your emotions. Start by acknowledging your feelings without judgment. Psychologist Dr. Susan David, author of Emotional Agility, emphasizes that emotions are data, not directives. If you feel sad or angry, instead of suppressing it or blaming yourself, ask, what is this emotion telling me about my needs? Here's how I would approach it. Imagine you're talking to an emotionally agitated kid. How would you comfort it? I would ask, tell me using your words what is going on. How do you feel so I can help you? If you don't and try to pretend you do not have these emotions, you're just like your parents who didn't acknowledge or meet you where you were. Pro tip, at the end of each day, journal a few sentences about how you felt and what you needed in those moments. Over time, looking back in your journal, you'll notice patterns and your unmet needs that you should be addressing. You also need to set boundaries with yourself, like a good parent should. Parents set boundaries to keep the kids safe. When reparenting yourself, you do the same to protect your emotional and mental health. Dr. Brene Brown's work on vulnerability and boundaries reminds us that saying no is a form of self-respect. I recently made a video on how to say no. Here's the link above there. Look it up. I'll also put the link down below. Later you can revisit it. Meanwhile, start small. Protect your time and energy like a loving parent would. At the same time, cultivate self-compassion. According to Dr. Kristen Neff, the pioneer of self-compassion research, treating yourself with kindness during failure or stress builds resilience. Think of how a nurturing parent might respond to a child who's scared or hurt, and offer yourself the same warmth and reassurance. Pro tip again, when you notice self-criticism, pause and ask, what would I say to a little boy or a girl in this situation? Replace the harshness with understanding and patience. Reparenting yourself is an act of courage and self-love. It's not about blaming the past or blaming your parents, even if they deserve it. It's about empowering your present and your future. As you start to validate your emotions and set boundaries and nurture yourself with compassion, you'll begin to notice a profound change. You'll feel more grounded, more whole, and more aligned with the person you're meant to be. Remember, this journey takes time. So you have to be patient with yourself, like a loving parent should be. If you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe for more content like this, and share your thoughts in the comments. We all learn from each other. Also, if you know someone who might benefit from it, forward that video to them. Until next time, take care of yourself. You deserve it. Thank you for watching.